Juicy topic today. We got another blog about sailing. Even better, we've got the first stage of the refinement for sailing. I'm gonna quickly go over it very quickly because there is a 2-hour modcast with the JMods on YouTube that you guys can check out. It'll be in the description where they'll go in depth and stuff, but I know you guys don't want to watch a 2-hour video, so I'm gonna concise it for you guys. Is that the right word? Concise it? We'll go over the introduction. I'll be using the PowerPoint slides made by Gentle Tractor, so big shout out to him, because he's going to make it a lot easier to understand. Basically, if you guys been living under a rock, sailing is the new skill that might be coming into RuneScape. It is not set in stone yet, but it has been voted by the community to be the one that's going into refinement, which means the JMods are going to start working on this skill, pitching them as they go, refining the skill, and we can eventually vote whether we want it in the game or not. So there will be 4 stages of refinement, and this one, the first one that we're seeing right now, will just be the basic fundamentals and how to control the ship and how the ocean will be interacting, or how you will be interacting with the ocean. Now for me, the question was always, is this skill going to be fun to train? It was always going to be a good time to be going on the ocean, discovering islands, doing some deep sea fishing, fighting the krakens, you know, whatever. Even though we probably are going to have to wait until beta testing to see if it's actually fun, there is something in this blog that I want to start off with, and that's the navigation process. So this whole skill at its core. Unfortunately, we can't check out the video yet. I'm really excited for that. But they have mentioned that the navigation will be click to move, and also you will be able to control both your player and your ship. By clicking the ship's wheel, you'll be able to navigate the ship and you'll go into this navigation mode, but you can easily exit it and keep walking around your ship. I think that is the best possible way to do this. So that's a big thumbs up from me. I don't think there's much more information about this navigation, but just putting that down as a bottom line of how it's going to work already makes me quite excited. Now, this could still mean that the navigation is trash and the XP, how you get XP or how you're supposed to train it is not great, but we're gonna have to wait until beta testing to do it ourselves. I don't think we're gonna get any more information on that in the next couple of weeks, but this is already a big thing. You'll be able to freely roam the sea, but you won't be able to dock everywhere. That is why the JMods have opted to work with ports. Everywhere where there's a port, you can dock your ship and discover the land. This is so that you cannot go to Tiranwin without having done regicide and stuff like that, so that's completely logical. Now, you will also be able to port at some islands or dock at some islands, maybe even swim to some islands, but they're going to make sure that there is some dockable land too to go to. They've called these mooring points. These will allow you to move freely between your ship and land. So we don't know if you need like an extra little vessel to go to that mooring point or if you have to swim, but there'll be some discoverable islands. We don't know what's on them yet. Hopefully some dungeons or whatever, but that's all still free interpretation. Now, how do you get there? Well, there's 3 types of ships. There's a small ship, a large ship, and a colossal ship. Now, without all the difficult ways of putting it, I'll explain it how I understood it. Small ship is basically solo or duo. It's very easy to navigate alone. A large ship is a little bit more difficult to navigate, but you can still navigate it alone. And then with a colossal ship, you almost definitely want a group or a couple people to help you navigate the ship. Maybe you have someone on the sails, someone in the crow's nest that looks out for the current or the wind, and then someone who does the steering or whatever. Now, they did hint that you could maybe hire NPCs to do that for you. So don't worry, you're not going to get this whole I'm forced to do group stuff. Apparently you can hire a crew, so you can still do it solo. And that might also be the way to AFK train this skill. Maybe if you do it solo, you get higher XP rates because you're doing everything at once. You get sailing XP for that, sailing XP for the sails, the steering, the whatever. But if you just want to AFK, you could just do the steering or just do the sails and let the crew do the rest. You'll get less XP, but it's more AFK. Maybe. Sounds cool to me. Now, certain ships will have to be used in certain situations. For example, a small ship is used on shallow seas, but you would be able to use a large ship, but it'll just be slower. Same with the large ship, which is for open seas, where the colossal ship would also work, but also slower, or some other thing that will hold it back from using it. And then the colossal ship will be used in deep seas. This is to, I guess, make it a little bit more interactive, a little bit more engaging, get the right ship for the right kind of sea current. I feel like that makes perfect sense. Another difference between these ships is that the large and colossal ships can have different floors. For example, the large ship can have a crow's nest, the colossal can have a crow's nest and a basement. Now, while navigating, you will also be running into some currents or running into some wind or some other weather conditions that they haven't thought of yet, but those two are already basically set in stone. The currents are going to be static, which means that at certain parts of the sea, you will always have a strong current or a slow current. I don't know how it all works. And the wind will be dynamic. So at some points you'll have more wind. If you then turn your sails to that position, you'll go a tick faster or something like that. I think that's really cool. They mentioned turning cycles here too, which has to do with pathing, where your ship will more naturally turn around and not just like very statically like the osrs character does. It will feel more ship-like. So fair enough. On top of that, we've got collision. Obviously, you can't let everyone collide. Day one, people will start blocking each other and asking for 2 mil to free them. You can't do that. So you will be able to overlap with other ships in the form of a shadow or something, but it'll be transparent and you'll be able to go through other ships, so you won't be in each other's way, so that's great. They have mentioned though that there might be some ship-based PvP in the future, maybe some wilderness section of the sea where collision might be possible. So they are very open to the PvP sailing scene, which I think could be kind of cool. I'm trying to go over this a little bit quicker because that is basically the gist of the initial skill. A couple extra things are like the world scale. For example, the world will feel very small if you let your ships go super fast. That's just a scaling issue that has been a bit janky from the start of osrs. They never really expected the ocean to be used, and now there's just very small spaces of ocean between certain amounts of landmass. You'll also have the edge of the world, which is just a completely black border. That was a cool idea that they had, where you could sail outside of the map, but then it'll just give you a pop-up saying you have to return or you start taking damage. That will make the world feel a bit more open and not as janky as the black borders that we have now, so that'd be really cool. But as they mentioned right here, the game world has unusual and inconsistent scaling. We have some mountains that are no bigger than buildings. For example, the Lumbridge Castle is about as big as the Ice Mountain or something like that. But as I just mentioned, this is a good visualization of the ocean zones. We got the shallow seas, the open seas, and the deep seas, probably scaled by level. The weather conditions that I just mentioned, dynamic wind and static currents. And then we get into the mystery locations. Again, they want to try and make it so that you do not get to sail to a part that you haven't unlocked. For example, if you haven't done Dragon Slayer 1, you can't sail to Krondor. They're mentioning here that Elvarg will pop up and send you back if you happen to run into Krondor or if you get too close, which is pretty cool. And once again, the skill progression and map edges that I just mentioned are right there. This is a big overview right here. Again, this is not of the whole sailing skill. This is just of the navigation and the sea aspects. There is still a lot of information on what you could do on sea, probably, that they're going to explain in the next blog or whatever. The skilling progression goes as follows. You will start off very simply in the early game being a small vessel in shallow waters, basic movement. Then mid-game, you go larger vessels to more of the ocean, and then late game you go into the deepest level of the waters with a colossal ship, with a crew, or with teammates. This again leaves me with a couple more questions. How is this going to integrate with other skills? I know Husky mentioned on the modcast that, for example, if you do deep sea fishing, would you be getting sailing or fishing XP or both? He says that he wants to keep the sailing XP very much focused around the ship. So if you were going out to sea and fishing there, you would just be getting fishing XP. Getting there would give you sailing XP, the fishing activity itself. Even if you were just casting your rod out on your boat, let's skip over the innuendo, that would just give fishing XP, which I think is the good decision. I wonder when the XP drop is going to happen. As it's pitched right now, I think you would be navigating your ship, turning the sails right, get a tiny XP drop there, then steer correctly, tiny XP drop there. Then when you arrive at the destination, you get a big XP drop. That's what I would think. I'm hoping there's just more activities on the ship, because that seems like a very small amount of training methods. But that's just me. So that's a question I still have, but we're gonna have to wait until beta testing to see if this is actually fun. I hope you guys got caught up. I hope this was fast enough. I think this video is still about 10 minutes, but it's better than 2 hours, right? Are you excited about sailing? Leave it in the comments. I'll see you soon. With a new series on this channel. I've got a channel-specific series coming on the second channel, so subscribe. Bye.